Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, please go subscribe and turn on your notifications. Again, I'm building this channel from scratch. It's very fresh, and we talk about everything PPC and SEO related to customer acquisition. So if you're an entrepreneur in marketing, like digital marketing, would like to know more, go subscribe. I'm sure I'm going to be able to provide you maybe some raw insights and hands-on experience of what's going on at the moment. So today I want to talk about something really interesting, which is around Google Ads, Broad Match Modifier, no more, and the increase in cost per click. Now, where does this stem from? Well, last night I had a conversation with a PPC group that I'm part of. It's a pleasure, and I'm proud to be part of that group. Really talented bunch of individuals. They're both people that are running Google Ads for themselves and people that are running Google Ads advertisers for their customers. And really interesting group of people. And one of my friends and colleagues shared an interesting insight about the increase in cost per click and how astronomically Google is increasing the CPC of keywords across the board. Now, this isn't consistent in all industries, but on the average, the increase is astronomically high. So year on year, their increase has looked anywhere in between 70 and 90%. So it's a very high increase, and we're going to look a little bit at why this is happening and what's their intentions and what's going on really behind the scenes. Something maybe a little bit darker and sinister that you guys might be interested to find out and know what's going on. So beginning of this year, or I shouldn't say beginning of this year, and the end of the first quarter of this year, Google Ads made a big update, which was they removed the Broad Match Modifier. Now, the BMM, which was a really favorite weapon of choice for a lot of advertisers, became no more, and everyone had to step away and come up with alternative strategies. Many advertisers having to rebuild their accounts, having to restructure them, and look at the right way to get their CAC, their customer acquisition costs down, or maintain it without disrupting all of the data and how their account is structured. Now, what a lot of advertisers did, which I think is a right move, is they had to move into broad match, separating the ad groups and the higher volume keywords, and then start to build an extensive negative keyword lists, and unfortunately have to pick up some bad clicks to be able to feed enough data to learn more about their customer, their ideal customer for who they're advertising for, and then turn on auto bidding, right? But something else has happened in the meantime. CPCs have gone up, as we've just discussed, but as Google Ads removed the broad match modifier, it forced people natively or naturally to go into phrase match and exact match. And this is where we've seen the most increase. I've seen CPCs in my account in my industries go from $25 a phrase match to $40 a phrase match in less than 6 or 7 months. So if that's the case, then not only are they shifting people towards a way more lucrative click, but are also increasing the price of that match if it's a phrase or an exact match. So what's really happened, I think, is tremendous for advertisers, and we can learn a lot from this. And I'm going to give a few recommendations on what you can do to avoid falling prey to being in really expensive keywords and being part of this surge in revenue that Google is having, and how you can actually find a little loophole. So first of all, there's a news article below where I cover the broad match modifier and what's happened and why it's gone away. And there's also a link to the PDF that you can download that has all of the statistics and data on Google and their CPC year on year, and how it's crazily growing out of proportion and off the dial growth. So really, I think this is a fantastic piece of data, and thank you, Aaron, for sharing it. It means a lot, and I follow Merkle, but I hadn't come across this PDF so far. So I appreciate the insights and being shared that knowledge. Now, if you really want to restructure your campaigns, it's actually very simple, but you need to have a very good approach and be very transparent with yourself or with your customer or with your team or whoever you're reporting to, or whatever your environment looks like. Basically, there's two ways we can go. One way is going to be we're going to be identifying keywords that we've had conversions from, and from that we're going to separate them into their own ad groups and then potentially run a phrase match on those keywords for our high CPC, but we know exactly what we're bidding on. or we're going to we're going to go with our broad match keywords, and we're going to start building up extensive negative keyword lists. Now, unfortunately for a lot of the advertisers out there, most of you probably have cascading ad groups, depending on, keyword clusters and different intent, and potentially different types of match. We know that there's a time in the month or a time in the year where a phrase match works better than a broad match. We know when there's a time in the year where a broad match works better than a phrase match, and the same for phrase match and exact match. But the point is, you really have only got two alternatives here. Either go all in with broad match, collect enough data on your CPA, then switch to automated bidding. And in the meantime, you're going to have to maximize your clicks, and then shift to maximizing conversions, or you're going to have to stay in phrase match and suffer the increase in your acquisition cost. Now, either way, I see it's going to be a learning curve, and I can already see accounts and people restructured and made the changes very quickly. But unfortunately for a lot of people, this is a lot of work, a lot of optimization, a lot of heavy lifting. But in either way, I think in the short term, the acquisition cost is going to slightly rise, and then I think it is going to plateau, because the algorithm is going to catch up, and we're going to have better information and better data on where our conversions are coming from. So initially, I guess you're going to have to maximize clicks. That would be the logical thing to do. Collect some data on your broad match keywords on what's converting, and then switch back, and then start optimizing for those keywords that did, and turn on your automated CPA, maximizing your conversions. As anything goes in Google Ads, it's really going to depend on two things, which is your industry, your product, or your industry and your avatar, because this is going to identify what your funnel looks like and what you're bidding for. But if you are bidding on, let's say, e-com or a low ticket value product where you might have a lower margin, you need to consider maybe running some broad match, collecting some data, and then switching back to automated CPA and maximizing your conversions. Either way, I would seriously recommend you take the time to go into each and every click, each and every conversion, figure out really and identify where they came from, and start learning from that, and then reverse engineering that to find and create a better pattern that works for you. So I hope this was interesting, guys. And for more information, I've just posted the link here in the description below. And also, I have attached the PDF that Aaron was kind enough to share with us last night. It was a great discussion, guys. And as always, hope this was informative. Anyone out there who's just looking for tips and ideas, at the end of the day, I think we're all learning, and I think the process of learning together and building a community and being open about what we know and what we want to learn about is a great start and a great way to running better advertising, to getting customers at better acquisition cost, and having a transparent and data-driven approach. Thanks, guys.